Final interview of DebateCon 6. Dr. Carrier here just finished his debate with Andrew Wilson, and what a debate it was. You are definitely at an away game here. Were you aware that the audience was going to be 90+% Christian and fans of
Yeah.
Andrew Wilson?
Yeah, I was pretty sure. Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I was expecting it. But I have to say, like, everybody was polite, right? Like, respectful and stuff. So, like, I didn't feel in danger or anything like that. But yeah, no, I knew I was playing to a house that doesn't agree with hardly anything I'm just gonna say. So, but that's the point, is to meet you where you are, and that's why we did this debate.
Yeah, absolutely. There's your opportunity to change the most minds when they're mostly.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. Just like when I'm doing any kind of like a resurrection debate or anything like traditional Christian apologetics, like I did yesterday, the other debate. I find throughout my career, I've been debating for over 20 years. I find that you lay some seeds of doubt. Most people aren't moved, but years down the line, I get people to come up to me and it's like, yeah, like you kind of like you set me on a path that changed my mind on that day in that debate. So there is educational value in doing this, and I've seen it, so I know from the impact.
You kind of took my next question from me. Are religious people as a whole a little bit more difficult, or a lot more difficult, or not at all more difficult to persuade and have their mind changed, in your opinion?
I'm not really sure how to answer that, because lately, like the last, I would say 5 years, I've also been dealing with things that are like atheist craziness, right? Like so atheists with positions that are just completely immune to evidence and so on. So I see, in fact, I'm thinking about writing a book someday called The Methodology of Error, which is how because I'm seeing a similar pattern. If I'm dealing with anti-vaxxers or the different kinds of groups that might even be atheists, but have like beliefs that are totally wrong and that evidence doesn't persuade them, I find the exact same methods. They're using the same methods as Christian apologists, right? It's the same kit. And so I realized like this must be a human thing, right? Like it's not specific to Christianity or anything like that. And so I don't know. So I don't really think that that's the deciding factor. And also because I know Christians who are persuadable. So right. So like, and I know atheists who are unpersuadable. I know Christians who are persuadable.
Fair.
So I know, yeah. So I think it's more of like a human thing. I don't think there's like a difference. The one you might say is that I think like there might be a slightly higher percentage of atheists who are changeable because that's how they got to be atheists, right? So like some people, like you had to be persuadable to get out in a way.
In many cases, yeah.
Right. That's a fair point. Yeah. So I do think there's some filtering here. So like if you can't do that, you might end up trapped in Christianity, and so there's self-selection going on, a kind of a selection effect. And I've seen that, but I don't have statistics on it. So
AI has been on the rise. It's everywhere nowadays, in the news, in the workplace. What kind of role do you think AI has in these kinds of discussions?
So I wrote an article about this recently. So I think most of it is hype. Like AI is not going to do like maybe 90% of the things that people think, because what we're talking about as AI is we're not really talking about what people really mean by AI, which is AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, right? So I think we're at LLMs, large language models, are entirely the wrong direction to get to actual AGI. I think we need model building methods, which we had like MIT and Berkeley. We're working on those, but now all the money is getting dumped in LLM, and I think it's a doomed project.
Doomed to develop AGI.
Right. So like what you'll end up with are these AI tools that can be tweaked, and if they're used expertly and competently, can like leverage up productivity. So like the tools are useful. It's just like any other software. And I think AI will, what we're talking about AI now, will lead to like software that'll still be around even after the AI bubble crashes and maybe companies go under or whatever. There will still be a technology that will continue on, that will be sellable, etc. So I just don't think it's going to have the sort of like job crushing effect that people are talking about, for example.
You don't?
No, I don't.
Wow, I hope you're right. I asked Andrew this question, so I'm going to be fair and ask you the same exact thing. What, if anything, could possibly change your mind and convince you that he was making the proper argument, which is to say Christianity is actually a better framework to model or run society?
Yeah, I think, for example, if history had turned out differently, if we looked and we saw like Christian organized governments were better in every relevant metric that I was talking about, and then atheist societies really were what Christians predicted and were like, lawless, that kind of thing. Um, if atheism was always Russia and Christianity was always Sweden, right? Then you have a good case. And then I think in that point, right, whether you called it Christianity would be kind of like irrelevant, because you're just ending it. And that's what I said in my opening. Like if Christians are deciding which Christianity is true solely by evidence, then you're really just doing the same thing the secular humanist is doing, right? So you're not relying on ideology, you're not relying on the Bible, you're just finding out what's true by evidence. And it's also theoretically possible that young Earth creationism is true. Like Christianity is that true, right? You could actually do that. We would, if that were the case, the science would find that that everything started 6,000 years ago. All species simultaneously arose. Stars, everything 6,000 years old. Like if we had something like that, humans, the whole deal. If we had that, that would definitely prove that there's something true about Genesis, right? And therefore something true about at least that family of religions and so on. So yeah, there are those kinds of things could convince me. When we get to something more abstract, like God in general, like not whether Christianity specifically is true, but whether God exists, there are things that aren't necessarily historical, but could happen to me now. Like if I had the right kind of met God and had the right kind of conversation with him, right? Okay. There's things that could do it. It's just they're very, very, very unlikely to show up, right? Is the kind of stuff.
Yeah. I've been asked by a flat earther what it would take to change my mind. I have a feeling it's on the similar.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure there's some amount of evidence, but it would have to be all encompassing.
Yeah, well, it'd have to be good evidence, right? I don't know if it has to be all encompassing, but it has to be good, right? Like this, it basically has to be the opposite of the evidential position we're in now, right? Like it has to be really good evidence of that. And I talk about this a lot, and I have an article called Defining Naturalism on my blog, where I actually give examples of naturalist explanations for things and supernaturalist explanations for things, and what makes them different, and what it would take empirically to prove supernatural causes. And so I go through that, and a lot of people think that that can't be done, or that we think that can't be done. I totally think it can be done. It just hasn't been done, right? So that's a different position to be in.
That's interesting. I haven't thought that deeply about that. I would have thought supernatural is by definition
Unprovable.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
right. So I'm gonna have to check. I'm gonna have to check
I
that
talk
out.
about that in the article and why that's not the right way to think about it. And it's really not the way, like it's the way people think they're thinking about it. But when people actually talk about real supernatural things to them, they're actually talking about very provable evidential things, right? So, and in what way that's true is a little more weird ontologically. You want to get into the weeds on that?
Yeah.
That's what that article is for.
All right. Well, I definitely will be looking that up. And last thing, tell my audience, because you escaped my radar for 20 years. Now you're on it. I can't wait to watch more of your stuff and read the books I got from you yesterday.
Yeah.
Tell my audience where to find you. I'll include everything in the description below.
So, right, yeah. All things me are at richardcarrier.info. That's just my name, .info. And that you'll get access to my social media, to the online classes I teach, my blog, which is, what the main thing I do, and then all my books, bios about me, like anything you need, it's all there. And so you can explore that website and find stuff. The search engine, the category drop-down menu is super helpful if you're looking for particular topics, because I've been writing for over 20 years.
All right, there we go. Link in the description, guys. Definitely check that out. Again, thank you for the interview.
Thanks.
Thank you for the debate. It was really informative and entertaining.
Yeah. Thanks.